Do you need it? That's the question. These are the absolute accessories you have to have when you buy an e-bike. How many times have you heard that when doing your research on YouTube for e-bike accessories, or just channels trying to convince you that you need all this stuff, otherwise your e-bike riding experience is going to be lackluster. So let's get into that while I ride through one of my favorite local parks. So you just bought your e-bike, or you're still trying to decide on which e-bike, but you're coming across channels like they're saying must have accessories for your e-bike. And you start watching these channels and they're trying to convince you that you need everything under the world. You need tools, you need bottle holders, you need storage. You need an extra tube. You need all this stuff to make your ride worthwhile. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a bunch of hogwash, and take it with a grain of salt. And I'll tell you why. If you're gonna ride your bike locally around your neighborhood, and maybe you have another person you ride with, then no, you don't need all these accessories. And I'm not going to tell you that there's some that you just absolutely need to have, because there isn't. Now, there are some situations where you might want to have stuff with you, but that depends on the situation you're going to be riding in. If you plan on going far away, you know, driving somewhere with your bike, then getting off and riding out in the back country or something, then yes, you might want to have a few extra things with you. But if you just plan on riding locally like I'm doing now, cruising down by the beach, then I'm going to say no, you don't need a bunch of all these accessories that these creators are trying to get you to buy. Now, in a few minutes, I will stop and I'll show you the stuff I have on my bike, and I will tell you if it's something I absolutely needed or if it was just a waste of money. Because the last thing you want to do is spend $2,000, $3,000 on an e-bike and then be convinced by creators that you need all these extra accessories to add to your bike. Otherwise, your ride's not going to be any good. Yeah, that's just wrong. So I will go over some accessories that I think would be nice to have, some that I think you should strongly think about, but again, none of them are mandatory. None of them are gonna enhance the riding experience to the point that you just have to have it. You can still get your e-bike and ride it out of the box and have an absolute blast, and you may not need any other accessories. So let me talk about some, or at least one, that you might want to consider. And that is strictly, you know, for some safety. And that is the rear view mirrors. So just like in a car, you want to know what's going on behind you, especially if you're going to be riding on the streets. Now, if you're riding on a trail in the woods or something, I would say no. If that's your intended use, I'd say no. No, you don't need rear view mirrors. But if you're going to be riding on the street, you might want to consider that, and I'll tell you why. Because if you don't get it and you're wondering what's going on behind you, you're going to have a natural tendency to try and turn around and look. And when you turn around and look, if you're not paying attention, you may start steering your bike in the wrong direction. So in that case, you might want to consider the rear view mirrors. But again, it's not necessary to enjoy your ride. Now, the other thing you might want to consider, but again, not necessary, and this is for those who get an e-bike that's got a hardtail. And if you don't know what I mean by hardtail, that means there's no rear suspension on your bike. You only have front suspension or maybe no suspension at all. So if you got an e-bike that's full suspension, you've got front fork or a front end suspension, and you've got rear wheel suspension, then this is probably not something you would need at all. But for those who have no rear suspension and you ride on maybe rougher trails, rougher terrain, you might want to consider getting a seat post suspension and a comfortable seat. I have that, and it does make a difference. It does make a big difference. But again, it won't stop you from having an enjoyable ride. You just may have to stand up every once in a while and let the blood back in the back end. But again, when I stop, I'll show you what I've done to this bike, and I'll show you that rear suspension or that seat post suspension so you can see what I mean. Now, some things that are maybe nice to have, but not required, would be maybe some type of storage where you can put your wallet, you can put your keys, you can put your phone. But again, if you're just riding locally and you're just going to carry that stuff in your pants, then there's no need for it. And that goes along with like having the front basket like I have in a rear cargo box. If your intention is to maybe use it to go to the store to pick up a few groceries, then it's really nice to have, instead of trying to put it in a backpack and wear that backpack. And that's what I've done with this bike, because that's what I do use it for. When Katrina and I go out on bike rides, we usually have a picnic. So I'll have a Yeti either in the front or the back with our picnic lunch in it. And if it's colder, we can put our jackets in the front, and I have a little cargo net that goes over the top to keep it secure. But for things I don't think you would need, but people try and convince you need, and a phone holder. Do you need it? It's nice to have, but you don't need it. Unless you're trying to follow a GPS, then you could probably just put that thing in your pocket, if you even take it with you at all. Do you need an accessory bar? No, you don't. Not unless you have a bunch of stuff that will not fit on your regular handlebar. If you plan on getting a headlight to ride at night, that's probably a better spot for it than your handlebar. You can always put this phone holder up there if you got it, but you don't need it. The only reason I have it is because I use it for my video creations. There'll be times when I put a camera mounted up here because that's the angle of view I want. But if I didn't use it for video creation, I wouldn't have gotten it. So the last thing you want to do is just buy that expensive e-bike and then go out and spend several $100 more on accessories that you found out you don't need. So let me find a place to pull over here, and I'll give you a quick overview of the stuff I have on my bike and if I think I actually needed it or not. Here's a nice little spot. I'll pull over here and show you what I've done. All right, so this is what I have done to my bike, and I will start up here at the handlebars. Like I've showed you, I put the accessory bar on there. Is it needed? I need it for video creation. Do you need it? Probably not. A phone holder. Now, I don't use this that often. I usually take this and I put it in here. But if you plan on doing a ride where you need a GPS to follow GPS, this is a good idea. But again, it's not necessary because a lot of people just carry that in their pocket. Now, there's like a cup holder / bottle holder. Is it a good idea to have? Probably on a hot, sunny day, summer day, if you're riding far from home. This would probably be something good to have, but again, it's not necessary. Now, the more necessary thing I think you would like to probably look into is the side view mirrors right here. I have 2 of them, but you only need 1. I just put 2 of them on just to kind of even out the look. All right, so what did I do up here in the front? I put a basket on it because I do use that. I use that for either a picnic basket or putting stuff like groceries if I go to the store, or our jackets if we're on a colder ride. So I do use that. And I also have the rear rack and a box that I made for the same reason. I'll either carry the cooler for our picnic here and our jackets up front, or I could do the vice versa, or I can use this when we go to the store. And when we go to the store, I usually sit outside to watch the bikes, and Katrina goes in and we only buy enough groceries that we know that we can fit on the bikes, because I'm the only one who's got the extra storage. But is it necessary? No. You see a lot of e-bikes that don't have this extra box or basket on it, and it's just fine. And this is the other thing I put on, was just a little accessory bag. And that's where I usually put my keys and my wallet and my phone. But is it necessary for you? No, I only put it on there because I don't like to wear keys or my wallet or my phone in my pockets when I ride. But for some people, that may not be a problem. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you that you might want to look at, like I said, if you have a hardtail. See, this is a hardtail. There's no suspension back here. Is the seat post suspension. This goes up and down when you hit bumps, and the seat's got extra springs on it, and that just smooths out your ride a little more if you're riding on rough ground. And that will probably be one of the things, or most likely the first thing, that people would want to change when they get their bike. And I suggest you wait till you get your bike before you go out and order it, is try your bike out and see how the seat is that comes with your bike. If it's comfortable, you're good. If it's not comfortable, you might want to look into changing that to something else. Now, I use the C9 by Cloud9, but my wife uses the Bikeroo. They're both similar seats. They're a little more padded, but that might enhance your ride. If you have a bad seat that is just really making your back end numb when you ride, and you find yourself standing up a lot to get blood back there, that might be something you want to look into getting. But are these accessories that I got necessary for me to enjoy my ride? No. I could ride this bike bare bones and have fun. The only thing I would do for me is I would definitely get the side view mirrors to see what's going on behind me when I'm riding on the street. Always want to know what a car's doing before I make a left turn or something and cross the street. But other than that, that's it. You don't need all this stuff, all this extra stuff, to enjoy your ride. Now you might be saying, Lance, wait a minute. I see you're wearing gloves. And aren't you wearing a helmet? And yes, I am wearing a helmet. But for some, that might be personal preference. I think for most, they'll get a helmet. But for gloves, do you need gloves? No, you don't need gloves. I wear gloves because it's just a personal preference. I come from a motocross off-roading background, and it's just how I feel comfortable riding. And I do ride on trails where I might be going through low trees where things might hit my hands. But for street riding, trail riding like this, you don't need gloves. Now in the wintertime, you probably need gloves if you plan to ride in the wintertime, just because the wind chill is going to make it real uncomfortable on your hands. Right. And in that case, I do have more of a thermal glove. You'll probably see me wearing them here in a couple weeks or so when it really starts to get a lot colder here. But you don't need them. Katrina doesn't even wear them. She might wear some in the winter just because of the cold. But in the summertime, she doesn't. All right, I hope I've shed a little more light on accessories so you don't get caught up in this, oh my gosh, everybody's telling me on YouTube that I need all this stuff. You just don't. But if you found this video to be informative and to help you make decisions, then why don't you go ahead and subscribe, because I'll be putting more videos out like this to help you on your e-bike journey. All right, well, I hope you all have a great day, a great week, and I will see you out on the trail on the next video. All right, bye.